Okay, so little update from Fort Patrick, Reed Homestead. Raining, so we're going to see how the tent performs in the rain. We're on a bit of a slope up here, so what I did is I put a plank of wood that I burned and treated with oil, so it's resistant to the outdoors underneath the front of the tent, so as to stop the rain. When we get heavy rain, the rain will come down and wash this whole area out. So where you see the circle here, that's where a new pool is going to go. We got an 18-footer, 4.5 feet deep, but it's a little late in the season to get that done, so this is where the tent goes for now. And you can see over here the little wood plank underneath the front, and that's just to encourage if it does rain real heavy. We did have thunder and lightning a little bit ago, and if it does get heavy, then the water will just wash underneath the tent instead of going into the tent over that silver lip you can see that goes around the tent. I was a little worried about the front because it's just mesh, so I put a little wood plank underneath. But let's go check it out, see how the tent's performing. Alright, so I do see a lot of rain washing off, beating off over here, so that's a good sign. I checked earlier and the vestibule was still dry, so that's a good sign too. Velcro. So yeah, the vestibule is still dry, which is good. Let's check it out. So, no leakage in the floor, no leakage on the bed. Pat still has his Great Wolf Lodge bear, who we named George Washington. Little George Washington. No leakage over there. Dry. His beanbag is still dry. The back wall is still dry. That corner is still dry. So the rain fly covers pretty much the mesh, so that's good. We do have a couple leakage areas. This corner here, let's see, where is it? Right here. So right here is where it's leaking. So when I do siliconize this, that'll be an area that I'll pay close attention to, this corner. The one mistake I did make is I made this a little too taut, so it does stretch. And I didn't really tie this in. So that could be my fault. But it does have a bit of a leak. That corner is dry. The floor is still dry. You can see all this dirt is still dry. So I'd give this probably a 95%. I've got some repairs to make over here. Just some treatments on this corner especially. I'm going to do the whole tent really, and we'll do a separate video on that. But the vestibule underneath is still dry. Rain's beating off pretty well. This is the wood plank I put underneath just in case. If we get heavy rain, it'll start flooding down here. And then Want to make sure that the rain goes underneath the tent. There's some runoff right there. So one improvement or modification I did make is I put a pole in the front vestibule just to offer a little A-frame right here so it runs off a little easier. Catches, so you want to keep that out. Bring your arm down first. Okay, like that. So, little A-frame up top. Just put a little pole there. You can see the water beating off. It's working all right. Military tarp. So, it's ripstop material. You will see some light areas in there. Those aren't rips or tears. It's stretches. So if you're like me, you put poles in the middle or ridge lines. Over time, that stuff can stretch out. There's an easy way to repair it. You don't have to use tape. Flexol spray, basically the same thing. Latex. But I've got another improvement that I can make on this. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Tent's performing all right. Here is the patio garden. So if you live in an apartment, you could basically do a lot of this stuff. That's ginger over here, which is a root vegetable, I guess. Hibiscus right here on top of the smoker. So Labor Day weekend, we're going to be doing some grilling. There's a apple tree that I got to seed over the winter. Some tomatoes still coming up. Lettuce. Another apple tree right here. Doing much better. Basil. Those are ghost peppers in the corner. Those big things. A little rosemary right here. Thyme. This is horseradish that I had to rescue from the container garden. A bunch of caterpillars were getting to them, so I had to cut all the leaves back right here and start new growth. This is compost tea, chlorophyll tea, whatever you want to call it. Eucalyptus, chocolate douglas coming up, chamomile, chocolate douglas. These are the mammoth jalapenos. You can see they're fruiting big time. I've got 3 of those. This is the peach reaper right here. Coming up pretty well right here. So it's fruiting and flowering. Here's the reaper. The deer got both of these in the northern garden, I guess you'd call it. Another alternative to camping, another item. It's closest that I found to my service during the military. I was Air Force and I served search and rescue, so we had ponchos issued. This is the closest that I could find to when I served. The improvements, this has a mylar coating inside, so it still has the grommets up and down the poncho. So you could turn this into a tent and basically a superstructure that will, you know, retain heat, reflect a campfire back to you if you're using this in cold weather. It's already got the mylar built into it. Sarah and Pat's heights that I've been marking. This is a A10 shell, 30 millimeter shell. But that's a tent garden. This is the rocket tomato tower. Basically, I used 2-liter bottles to grow rocket tomatoes. Right here, I've got 8 of them attached to this heat deflector that I use during the winter. And you could do this if you live in an apartment complex. In Arlington, we had a small patio you could do this easily. If you're in the south, you still got 2-3 months of grow time. You can get these to grow, and you could harvest before, you know, the frost line. So still doable. Anyhow, all this stuff is doable on your apartment patio. You know, you just kind of need to know how to, even if you don't get direct sunlight, tomatoes don't really need direct sunlight in the south. It gets really hot and they will get sunburn, just like a human will. So I'll do a separate video on that. That's bug netting over top. We have the western sun comes in over here, so it gets really hot over here. So the bug netting is just to provide a little shade. I do have extra shade cloth, but this provides a good medium. It's basically double ply bug netting. I'll do a separate video on how to do that. But in the meantime, Fort Patrick's doing all right. Tarp's fine. Tent's fine. There are a couple areas of concern that I've got to address. Probably user area error rather than the tent itself. I didn't tie down or tie down the guidelines. So that's probably my fault. But anyhow, I'm going to siliconize that. That'll be a separate video too. We're going to weatherize it so we could use it in the fall. And then I do have a winter tent that we can use in the winter, and it'll be fine. Little hot stove, little hot tenting. That'll be fun. So hope all is well with you guys out there, and until the next time, God bless from the Reed Homestead. Fort Patrick out.